Yeah, so good evening. Welcome back to another video. Tonight, I'm doing a match preview for the opposition, and I've got Ant with us, Leicester City fan. It's fancy if you want to come on my channel. So good evening to you, mate.
Evening, mate. Cheers for having me on. I want to say I'm looking forward to doing this preview, but I'm kind of not. I'm just sort of dreading anything Leicester City related at the moment.
Bless you. I mean, I get the feeling sort of when we're second bottom of the table sort of thing. There's not a lot you can do about it because trying being in our position just now, it's not great. But at least we're on our first game of the season. So yeah, so what else can I say? So guys, if you like the video, please hit the like button, do subscribe, as John Sinclair, and also keep these comments coming through. And yeah, and I mean, thank you for coming on. I had to get you on because try to get a Leicester fan for the Astons and tell us what's going on in your club. I mean, it has to be silly.
It's a strange one because, like I said this off air, like looking in, it looks like we've been doing really well last season and we've just like crashed. But if you actually have a look at Leicester from February onwards in the league, we have been absolutely awful. I think you came to our place and turned us over as well at the end of last season. It's just we're conceding. I think we've conceded 2 goals every game so far this season, apart from the opening game of the season. It's just defensively we're a mess. Like going forward, we have no patterns of play and relying on individual brilliance. And the thing is, I'm not one of those fans who's going to be there screaming for a manager to get out and stuff. But I do think Brendan Rodgers has run his race at Leicester. And what I mean by that is when you look at his sort of track record of everywhere he goes, in that third season, it becomes stale. I think he comes in, gets a lot of players on board with his ideas, but once it starts going wrong, he's very stubborn in the same way that he'll just keep doing the same thing time after time after time. What's the expression? Isn't it like insanity's trying to repeat doing the same thing time and time again? And that's just what it feels like. Like any set piece we're conceding from, any ball into the box causing us problems. So yes, not quite as bright and fun as the last couple of years. It's safe to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I know what you need. I'm surprised that everyone, Leicester fans, seems like Brendan Rodgers. But what you're telling us, I'm quite surprised because I thought he's a decent manager. For me, he's a good young manager. Brilliant young manager. He's been linked with big clubs like Tottenham, Arsenal, and also rumours that he wants to take over Man City if the job become available, sort of thing. Man United's after him as well. And it seems to me that's doing a good job when you get those clubs linked to him, sort of thing. But I'm surprised that he's feeling a bit under pressure by the fans, sort of thing. But what are the other fans saying about Brendan Rodgers? Are they saying the same thing? Or
I think it's very much a 50-50 split at the moment. And I think a lot of people, I've only just sort of I wanted to give him time to turn it around. But I think from some stats from the 18th of February last year, I'm going to go into my full like nerd mode now. So, after that, so 43 games, 67 goals conceded with 10 draws, 15 defeats and 18 wins. That's for the squad and the talent of players that we've got, that is very concerning. And I think with Brendan Rodgers, he is a brilliant manager, and you're not going to find me slagging him off because the state that he found Leicester in compared to where we are now, he has done a brilliant job. I just think he's past the shelf life at Leicester, and it happens. It can go stale. And as I compared it to before, I'm not comparing him as a manager, but the situation of when you looked in at Steve Bruce at Newcastle, if you looked in and just sort of like glared and don't really watch from week in and week out like you guys do, then you could say, oh, he's keeping Newcastle head above water. He's doing a good job. But when you actually watched them, like you would dire. And I think that's sort of what Brendan Rodgers is at Leicester now. That like if you look in from the outside, you probably think what a job he's doing. But I'd say what a job he has done, but what he's doing right now is very far off from what the first 2 years that we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, we get that at Newcastle all the time from pundits on Talk Sports saying that, oh, Steve has done a wonderful job, this and that, and top of that. I had 2 of my workmates yesterday saying that Steve has done a wonderful job. And he said he's got us 13th and 12th, and we want him gone, which eventually he did. But what people have to understand, Steve Bruce is not a good manager at all whatsoever. He's just got lucky because teams will love us didn't win their games. And yeah, I mean, I'm amazed that I'm going to probably get a lot of Newcastle fans wanting Brendan Rodgers at Newcastle in the future, sort of thing. But who knows? But I was going to say, so the player side, I mean, Vardy's still scoring goals, and without Jamie, I think Leicester could struggle. I could be wrong. Maddison's back to full fitness and starting to play do his thing. What about Ndidi? How do you rate Ndidi?
Oh, I think Ndidi is one of those players, fully fit. He's unplayable. The best like ball winning midfielder in the league. I think there's players like Fabinho who've got that a little bit more technical ability on the ball, but in terms of breaking up play, there's no one like him. But he hasn't been able to get that consistent fitness to be able to get up to those levels because he keeps picking up silly little like niggles, which keeps him out for a game or two. And every time you think he's going to start building some momentum, he just picks up another little injury, which is really frustrating. But I think absolutely brilliant player.
I tell you what, I'd take him in Newcastle all day long. This guy is absolutely brilliant in the midfield. He'd be levels above us. I mean, I had one or two of my fans on me chat basically that he's not good enough. But for me, I think he's a real deal in the midfield when he's match fits. And
yes, he's one of those players as well. I say that if you don't watch him, you don't realise just how good he is. Because he does that like dirty side of the game that you're not really going to see about on Match of the Day and stuff like that. But when you actually watch like the 90 minutes and just the ground he covers, the defensive work rate he gets through, he's just unbelievable footballer.
Yeah. I'm looking at the table now in Leicester. I know you're saying you've not been playing well at all this season. Yes, they only won one game in the last 5 games from the fun guide. 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses. Yeah. But you already 5 points. 5 points from Europe position and 8 points from the Champions League. I mean, it's going to be a big arc now for you getting the top 4 now of the squad you've got, surely.
Yeah. I think for now, I don't really know what the aim is for now because everyone was saying that it was go as far as you can in Europa League and see about the league as well. But I think it's just about like picking up as many points as we can now and getting ourselves just back in that conversation, really. But it's once every. Like you'll know this as well. You've seen it as a Newcastle fan. Yeah. Once it starts going south, it's very hard to then turn it around for a manager. And I think it's gone south now. It started to go south now for Brendan Rodgers. He started calling out the fans and stuff. So I think from that point onwards, it becomes a very, very sour situation, which I really didn't want it to happen. And you were saying earlier about him being linked to Newcastle and stuff. I was hoping that he went to Newcastle in a way because I think he would have done a brilliant job for you guys. But I also think that it's the best time for Leicester to bring in a new man. It's just who that new man is because
Steve Bruce.
Come on, I liked you lot before this. Don't make me.
Only joking.
But no, I'm not going to be one of those who sits there like get him out of our club. That's not what I'm all about. But it's gone stale, and he's sticking with the same thing week in, week out, which is why I don't see there being a change in form. And it's not even a blip. It's from the 18th of February. We'll be 17th in the league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair enough. Like, I can understand your opinion as well. I got some comments here, by the way. I got Ruffy Dog said, I eat. I'm fine. Got Thomas from Denmark, even Geordies, even John. Hope you well, mate. Absolutely fine. There's Ant as well. Jake, even John, mate. Hope you well. We need to get something off Leicester on Sunday. I think we need that. I mean, hello, John, mate. That's from my guy, Kian. I got Keith as well. And even everyone, John, loving your podcast, mate. Just been doing catch up on a few major subscribers, go through the roof. Great content. Thank you, Keith. Thanks so much indeed, mate. Newcastle face an absolutely critical 24 hours as Leicester ponder whether Sunday's clash is on. And then I got Margaret as well, Gavin Peacock. Going back to Keith's comments, Ant, I mean, Brendan Rodgers said that the game could be on, but if it gets even worse, the game had to be called off because you got a few players out with COVID.
Yeah, we've seen, I think there's been a few games that have been called off, ain't there? There's the Tottenham one. I think that's been postponed. Brighton as well. So, yeah, I think we've got 7 players out with COVID at the moment. So we just have to wait and see. But I think if it's not called off by tomorrow lunchtime, I'd say it's going to happen. But I just hope it doesn't go into another lockdown and stuff. I'm not going to get political on here, but it's a joke, isn't it? Like how it's been dealt with. But I need the football to keep me going.
Yeah, I mean, I could have gone to Italy today, but I didn't want to go because I didn't want to chance it because apparently you got to take a COVID test. I went to Rome a couple of weeks ago. I didn't take a COVID test before I flew back to the UK, which is what's compulsory. But now it is. You've got to take it now before you actually set a foot on the plane to get back to the UK. And then you got to take one again. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to bother. I already paid 36 quid for the flight. So I could afford to lose 36 quid. So what else can you say? I thought it was a cracking deal, but Oli Boris Johnson, my God, like I said, that's for another day. But on to Leicester. I mean, yeah, if you say Brendan Rodgers is to leave Leicester at any stage, who would you take? Who's your manager you take?
I know the name going around at the moment is Graham Potter. I'm a big fan of what he's doing at Brighton. I think give him the sort of the budget and the facilities we've got at Leicester compared to Brighton, with like utmost respect to what Brighton are doing. I think it is a step up in terms of the training ground, the money that he would have available to him. And if we can't get a Graham Potter, I don't know his name, which like I must say, I've seen it 1,000 times on Twitter and I can never remember his name. But the Sporting Lisbon manager, like he's exactly sort of, I think, that kind of profile of manager that we should be looking at. A manager who promotes youth, he develops players, and also plays attacking football. So it's very much a manager who's going to build on the foundations of where Brendan Rodgers has started.
Yeah. You know what? It's the ones I know as Jorge Jesus is at things at Benfica, and Conchial is at Porto. So I don't know who Sporting Lisbon is, but I'll probably find out at some stage. But yeah, there are some managers out there, but it's hard to get them in. That's the thing. And if you can get them in, someone from Europe, then yeah, he's going to change your fortune, sort of thing. But would I take Ben Rodgers to Newcastle? In the future, maybe, but I'm happy Eddie Howe, and I think he's going to keep us up this season because we're going to get some big players. But for Newcastle side of things, we'll go back to Leicester. I mean, Eddie Howe has come in as Newcastle manager. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a manager that you've brought in that I think he will do a good job for you. But I think it's a manager you've brought in with all scenarios in mind, that if, say, hypothetically you did get relegated, he's a manager that could bring you back up. But he's also a manager that I think he can help you kick on in the Premier League, obviously with the new players that you'll be having coming in and the investment. So I think it's a brilliant appointment, because I know you saw like the newspapers and all of the websites and that coming out with X, Y, and Z of like Zidane, Simeone, and all of that. It's not going to happen at this stage. maybe give it 5-10 years. I think you could be at that level. But I think for where you are right now, I think it's a brilliant appointment. And I think it's not a Mike Ashley man, which was the big thing. It was a man who's had no affiliation with the previous regime. So that instantly is going to get the fans on board.
Yeah. I mean, you just mentioned between 5 and 10 years. 5 years time, I'll be 57. 10 years time, I'll be 62. No way I'll look 52, man. No way. But there you go. I just read that. I got Keith as well. That's a live flash in Newcastle. Even call John. Okay, cool. In recent seasons, we have beaten Leicester, Man City, and Man United, then drew twice with Liverpool. So never say never. And I've got John here. If Brendan Rodgers did go to Newcastle, would you take Eddie Howe if he's available in about 4, 5, 6 years' time?
I wouldn't want Eddie Howe at Leicester, but I do think he's a good manager, but he's not that level of manager that we typically go for, really. But I do think he is a brilliant manager. He's one of those, I think he's got to properly get his feet under the table and be there for the long term kind of thing, which isn't the way that we ran. But I do think he'll do very well for you. And I think compared to the absolute dross football you've had to watch over the last few years, I think his style of football can be very enjoyable to watch. So yeah, he's a good manager, but not for me at Leicester.
Fair enough. I mean, if he keeps us up sort of thing, then the sky's the limit for our football club, but we need to stay up first, and we can still do it. I got Thomas as well. I went on an England round football road trip a couple of years ago. Remember yet? Went to King Power and I saw Memorial Garden. What a wonderful place, Memorial Garden.
Oh yeah, that's outside our ground because of a tragedy that happened a few years ago with a helicopter. There's a memorial garden remembering the owner and everything that he did for Leicester, which just what a man. And like, if you ever go to the King Power, I really recommend giving it a visit because he's one of those very few owners, but it's like as rich and as like all the money that he's got and stuff, he's still such a big part of the community, and his son's carried that on. So yeah, if you do get a chance, particularly if you're going to the game on Sunday, I'd really recommend checking out the Memorial Garden.
Yeah, I mean, a few mates on the chat. This guy called Paul Two of You. He comes on me watch along as well because I host it, and basically that he won't be able to make it is because he's going to the match, and there'll be 3,200 supporters going to go to the match, and tickets sold out, and they're going to make a fantastic atmosphere. I'm sure they're going to visit the Memorial Garden sort of thing. I mean, I'd love to go to Leicester as well for the match as well, and yeah, one day it's going to happen. Let's see what happens soon. So, but on your owner, who sadly passed in a helicopter accident as well, he's done some fantastic things for you. I mean, he's done a training facility. I looked at your training ground. You spent what? Is it 50 million or something like that?
150 million.
Wow, that is impressive. Absolutely amazing. And now we've got new owners coming into the club. They're going to do exactly the same thing. They are doing bits and bits sort of thing, but if they can get a training ground to be proud of, as good as yours, I'll be one happy fan in that. That's most important.
I think I've seen a lot of sort of unfair criticism of the Newcastle fans over the last few weeks saying you're expecting to win the league within 3-4 years. I think if they can invest into you like properly and build the foundations like what was done at Man City, where they built the infrastructure of the training ground and all of that at first, work on the academy, like build up that side of the club as well as bringing in the right players. I think, as you say, the sky's the limits for you guys. But I think it's as long as you do it the right way, because you can look at a club like Everton that have spent no end of money, and they're exactly in the same position as they were when they started. So it's about throwing money at it, but in the right way, like how Man City did in those early years, and like how Chelsea have done now with their youth program as well. Because I think they've in their starting 11, they've got 3 or 4 youth players. So it's about, I think, as long as you've got the right people making the decisions, like you guys are going to fly.
Yeah, let's hope so, sort of thing. Because the thing is, the most important thing is get a decent training facility, getting young players come through, get them through the ranks, and get the younger players sort of come to our club, like under 23s, and bring them through. And if we can get that sort of thing, which you don't get under Mike Ashley, we're going to be fantastic in the future. Young lads going to come. We have players like the Longstaffs. We have players like Adam Campbell now he's at Gateshead. We had a couple players just didn't make it. I mean, Matty is at Aberdeen on loan. I just don't know if he's not going to play for Newcastle again. And Sean Longstaff, he's got 6 months left on his contract. He could be off. And we could have got 50 million for him for Man United. But Rafa said no. Now, I think he probably regret it now, because the fact of the matter is, I mean, we could have had that 50 million and got a quality player on the Rafa, but is another time. But what is it? Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, it's one of those things. It's like you've had these players, but it takes years to see sort of the fruits of the labour from our academy, because our academy was invested in right when the King Power brand took over. I think it was 2009 when they took over. That could be wrong. It's around that period, but we're only starting to see the fruits of that labour over the last 2 or 3 years, really, with Harvey Barnes, Luke Thomas, Ben Chilwell, Hamza Chowdhury, all players that are like Leicester lads starting to break through into that first team or have broken through. So it's like, I think it'll take time, but once you start to see the fruits of that labour, I think you guys are in for a real treat, because you've always had, like, before the Mike Ashley reign, you always seem to have like a few like local lads within the setup and stuff, and that under Mike Ashley seemed to just disappear.
Yeah, that's totally agree. I mean, the thing is, I mean, getting all these players through, none of us made it hardly, which is a shame. But at the end of the day, we had players like Olivia came from, I think it's from Leon, and he just tried to make it, couldn't make it, and yeah, the club's in a mess under him at all. It's a complete and utter mess. If you look at our training facility now, it's like being back in the 70s sort of thing. It's got like what we call like a paddling pool there. It's got boats or whatever, sort of boats, whatever sort of what do I call it. It is absolutely shocking. What I'll do, I find it, put it on your DM, and then you'd be absolutely cringing. Let's be real. But it's another day. But just on the Leicester front as well, I mean, what's been your greatest moment? Obviously, winning the league back in 2015-16. How did you feel winning the league? I didn't fully expect that at all, you know.
I went into that season saying, like, because we'd escaped by the skin of our teeth the season before, because we had the great escape where I think like, we ended up finishing 14th, but we went on a run because we were bottom of the league basically the whole way through until the 30th game of the season where we went on a winning run. So I said at the start of that next season, we'd lost our best player in Cambiasso and we had some lad called Kante that no one had ever heard of coming in. We had Nigel Pearson who'd got sacked for off the field antics, and then Ranieri coming in. So my thought process was 17th, solidify ourselves in the league, and then from there just try and stay up. That was my expectation. So the fact that we went the whole way, it's just ridiculous. Like even saying it now, it doesn't sound real. Like Leicester City have won winning the Premier League. So I think that whole season was just like that. Just is so special, and I think the fact that you've got the manager like Ranieri, who just like such a lovable manager, someone you can really get behind. Just everything about it was brilliant. And then also, I think this was my like childhood dream because I never thought I'd see Leicester City win the Premier League. It was last season seeing us win the FA Cup because I always thought one day that's the one that's achievable and that's doable. But that was so special. And I think as well, with everything going on around the club at the time as well, because I don't know if you saw the picture of Kuntop, the current chairman, the son of the former owner, Vichai, celebrating on the pitch and with the fans. So I think I know they're the obvious two, but I think they're the big two, like big team.
Man.
Like
yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just absolutely incredible for that club to win the league and it shook the footballing world, really. And then the following season, you got to the final of the Champions League, to lose out Atletico Madrid, which is, it was a fantastic achievement, man. I mean, first time in the Champions League, wow.
It hurt. It even hurts now when I see it because it's a dodgy penalty away from playing Real Madrid at Bernabeu. Because it was given as a penalty at Albrighton, it was a foul, but it was a good yard outside the box. But it's I love that still hurts. That was like 3-4 years ago now. I still moan about it.
Yeah, get what you mean, man. If we stay up, I wonder how much we have to spend in the summer. That's Wolfie Dog. We have to spend loads just to make sure it doesn't ever happen again. Did the son take over the Foxes? Did he? Your son, his son took over the Foxes, right?
Yeah. He was always heavily involved in like co-owner, but now he's taken on the role of chairman and he's the sole owner. And yeah, he's just couldn't ask for a better person to be like running the club and owning the club, because it's like we've talked about all of the stuff in terms of like what he's done on the footballing side as well. But when you look at what he's done for the local community of Leicester, of like the millions invested into the hospitals, the infirmaries, the schools, all of that kind of stuff, and then freezing season ticket prices season after season after season since we've come up. So like just couldn't ask for a better owner. Really couldn't.
Yeah. Brilliant, unbelievable. What a owner you've got there, sort of thing. He's doing a fantastic job as well. So big up to him. I mean, Mike Casher never done that, going to schools and that sort of thing, and do the community side of things. I mean, he didn't care. But we got proper owners now that will do things like that. I mean, going to schools, do interviews, keep us in the loop. Amanda Staveley, I don't know if you heard of her. She's absolutely amazing. What she has done for that football club She comes in, does an interview, right? But the only concern, only critic, just let us know, keep us up to date about director football situation and keep us up to date about transfers as well, because the fans need to know what's going on. Apart from that, she has done one hell of a job there. Come in, let Bruce have his offensive game, sacks him, gets Eddie Howling. Magnificent.
I think, yeah, you couldn't have asked for a better start from her. I think, like, give it a year or so, and then you'll really see sort of what she's about once you've brought in a few players and stuff. But in terms of the start of a job, and I think getting rid of Steve Bruce, that was always going to get the Newcastle fans on side straight away.
We should have got rid of him last season before that as well. We'd only won 2 games in 21. That would not have happened. Any other previous owner, no way, he would have been gone. Any other club, he'd be a dead man walking anywhere. But I got Mark, so I need Rome with big, yeah, lot to do. I was supposed to go to Rome, like I said earlier, Milan earlier on, but couldn't go. And John said Tottenham's bought a lot of players, and again, haven't won a trophy. Just hope we spend wisely come January. And if they are allowed to postpone matches because of depleted squads, then null and void the season now. It's not fair on clubs who don't have massive squads but are still required to play. I see what you mean, but would you cancel the games if you had like 6-7 players out of COVID if you got a depleted squad, or would you just say get on with it basically? For me, when it comes to COVID and that, it has to be postponed, but that's not down to me.
I think, well, we've got 7 players out with COVID, and it looks like the game's going to be going ahead. And my thing is, like, the integrity of football and like what's right hasn't come first for a long time. It's about how they can make the most money. So, as you say, like ethically, it should be stopped if there's any concerns about COVID and stuff. But that doesn't fill their pockets.
Fair enough. That's what we're talking about here. I totally agree. And I got Thomas as well from Denmark. I hope most Leicester fans realise how special a man a goalkeeper, Casper Schmeichel, is. Stable, powerful, and clever, especially for our national team. Just wow, man. Casper, I mean, he seems to go on forever. This keeper is still quality.
Yeah, he's having a rough season so far, and he's been far from his best. But when you look at, we signed him for 1 million and like from Leeds, and just, like, what a keeper he's been for us. And he's been through like all of the good moments with us, which is, he's a proper club legend. Like, you talk of club legends, he was Championship, Premier League, obviously FA Cup, Community Shield. He's been there for the lot. So I really hope he can get himself back into form. But it sounds like probably really petty, but he's like 36 now, and every time he does go through a rough patch, I worry this isn't going to be a decline because an age catching up to him, is it? But I hope he can keep going for another few years.
Wow, he's 36.
Yeah. People don't realise that.
I didn't know that as well, you know. I mean, I thought he was younger than that. I thought he was something like 33.
I'm pretty sure. I could be chatting absolute rubbish. Hold on, let me check.
Yeah, man. I'm sure he's like, I think it's about 33.
No, he's 35, nearly 30, 36 at the end of this month.
Wow. Unbelievable. I tell you, he's going and going and going. He's a proper leader for your team. And talking about future leaders, Wesley Fofana, the young French lad, I mean, wish him a speedy recovery. I hope he comes back very, very soon. I watched this guy play, and I tell you what, this guy, for me, is going to be a world-class defender sort of thing. It's just a shame he was out for a long, long time. How far is he from full fitness, Andy?
I don't know, because Brendan Rodgers keeps saying he's a couple of weeks away from playing an under-23s game and all of this. But he's been saying that for a while now. But he's like, I really hope that this injury hasn't affected him too much and he can come back stronger. Because as you say, I've never heard of him when we signed him. I'm going to be honest. And then he's almost forced into the first team from injury. And just what a player he is. He's one of those who's like absolutely afraid of no one and will get stuck into absolutely everything. So he's been one of the biggest losses for us this season. He really has. So
he has. And it's a shame because at the end of the day, I mean, you know, he's only 19 years old, and you know, to get an injury like that, it's just sad. You know what I mean? I just hope he comes back to full fitness because I think he's going to be an unbelievable player. I mean, you paid a lot of money for him. Was it 32 million we paid for him from Saint Etienne?
It was something around that fee, yeah. But it's like after one season in the Premier League, when you've got clubs like Real Madrid already sniffing around, you know you're a special talent when it's like that.
Exactly. I mean, you can't turn that. So I don't know what you're going to offer if it's going to Real Madrid, but you can't stop anyone from going to Real Madrid, really, can you?
Nah. Like, and the thing is, with a club like, I want him to stay for the next few years. I really do. But it's like you say, you can't turn. Like, you've got to understand players would want to be playing at those kind of clubs. But when a club like Real Madrid or Man United come knocking, I always do think we can have their pants down for money. Like when you look at Maguire as well, when they came knocking. So it's like as long as we've got a contingency plan in place, like prepared for it, for if he does go, like I'll always wish him all the best. But the most important thing for us now is just getting back on that pitch.
Yeah, definitely. Sooner the better. And if he's available, we can compete as well, because we're the richest club in the world. So I don't think it'll come to Newcastle. I think if it's going to be, it's going to be Madrid anyway in the years to come. I just hope that you keep it for a long time because he's at a perfect club for you. And I think it'd be fantastic for Leicester City over the years. Over time, too, lads, that have played for us include greats like Warnock, Gas and Beasley. And I've got Vardy's 35 years old and he's never going. I mean, how much long can he keep going? He's 35 years old, Jerry.
The thing is with Vardy, he's like that different player because he didn't start playing like professional football till that much later. So I still think he's got a bit more in his legs. But the thing with Vardy is, from someone who watches him week in, week out, he's adapted his game. He's not that player who chases down every single dead ball and like presses every single pass from the centre back. Like he still makes the runs in behind, but he makes less runs in behind. But it's much more about like when they're timed and like being clever with his runs and stuff. So he's 35, doing brilliantly, but it's like he's not the same player of Jamie Vardy 4 or 5 years ago, where he's just relentless running. So I think it is starting to catch up with him, but he's being clever with that and adapting his game, which all top players do have to do at a certain stage in their career.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk that Thomas Stafford strapping up on Sunday. I'm sorry, but we need to stop him. If you don't stop him, he can cause serious damage against us. And I got John. So, what player would you like to see arrive at Leicester in January?
James Tarkowski. We need a centre back. Like defensively, we are a mess. Like genuinely, it is like it's comical watching us defend. Like it's just horrendous. And I think Tarkowski, he's solid Premier League centre back who will come in, and he adds us good depth for when we do have players like Fofana and Justin back. So I think he's someone who would improve us. I don't think he'll cost a huge amount either because he's out of contract at Burnley at the end of the year. I'm pretty sure you boys have been linked to him as well. So yeah, I think Tarkowski would be the big one for me.
We'll be linked to him as well. He's out of contract at the end of the season and he'd be on the free. Sean Dyche will not sell him at all whatsoever, rather than relegation dogfight, which brings us on to your opinion. I mean, Thomas again has made a brilliant point. I mean, what are your views on this ban selling your players or any players to Newcastle United? I mean, there's been rumours and the Mail online saying that these top clubs in the Premier League are refusing to do business with Newcastle United. What's your take on that one there, Ant? And do you think the Premier League and the clubs are being petty?
I think it's petty as anything. When did the Premier League become ethical? There's been ethical issues in the Premier League for years. Why now you've got some money? Is it all of a problem? I couldn't care less. Like I really couldn't care less if there's a player going for you can make some money off, send them to Newcastle. It's like no one had an issue when it's Chelsea. No one had an issue when it's Man City. So I don't get what the issue is with you lot having money. I really don't. So
it's ridiculous. I mean, I just don't get it. But I did a content of it as well last week, and I was very passionate about it, sort of thing. But I was saying to them, if you don't want to do business, you don't want our money, right? I said, okay, cool. We'll just go to Europe and get the best players over abroad. However, but if you don't do business with us now, if you want players like ASM or Amiron or Dubaka in future years, one thing I would say to you, I'd tell them to get stuff. Because at the end of the day, right, if you don't do business with us, we won't do business with you. So tell them to get stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's being petty. The agent have got a major say on it. Do you know what I mean? They've got a major say on it. It's not up to the club anymore. It's down to the players and the agents. They're the one who controls the future, not the clubs anymore.
No, and I think there's this fear that there's going to be too many like competitive clubs. I know the fact that Leicester have been competing up towards the top end and breaking up that established elite over the last few years. It's absolutely hated. So the fact that you guys are doing that and you've got money about it as well, and you've got that intention to do it, that's going to be absolutely hated. So I put a tweet out when you guys got taken over saying something like, I hope you cause absolute havoc, because I just think that the way the big six have been protected for like in terms of what they do, what they get away with over the years has been absolutely ridiculous. Mm-hmm. So like, yes, I can see why there would be concerns about the human rights issues and stuff like that. Yeah. But why has this only become an issue now Newcastle have got money? Why wasn't it an issue with not just Man City? When you look at owners up and down the Football League, there's a lot of problems. So if you're going to have a problem with Newcastle's owners, you've got to have a problem with almost every other club's owners. So that's my point on it. So
well said. And I'll tell you what as well, they have to get used to it now because we've been taken over. We're the richest club in the world. Let them get used to it. Let them cry. They need to turn it in. Because at the end of the day, it's just been a bunch of waste lads, a lot of them. There's a pandemic, lads. If there's players are testing positive, then let's hope they're all okay and recover well, and we'll play them sometime next year with our new signings, by the way. That's from Keith and News. And I've got Ryan as well. Can't wait to see Wilson versus Lower Crad. Who's the Lower Crad? I got no idea.
Ciencio, our centre back, because he looks like the bloke from Shrek.
I get you, man. I get you, man. I got Judy in the house, everyone. I love Judy a bit, so I think she's absolutely amazing. Anytime she's on me, I always smile because she talks a lot of sense and she's amazing. But definitely petty. When it was leaked that the Premier League didn't want another Leicester, they showed it's a big six club and we're just along the bumps to make it the numbers. I think Judy's absolutely spot on. She's always right because at the end of the day, I mean, they won the Super League, didn't they? They won the Super League, right? Didn't get the wrong way. Come climb back to the league and say, look, we'll come back. They get fined £25 million equally.
But the thing is, the stupid thing with that is not just the fact that they came back and got that fine. They got to choose what their punishment was as well. Like,
control them.
It's like 25 million to them, like across 6 clubs. If that's like me or you finding a fiver on the floor, it's like it's great, but it's hardly going to like change their fortunes or make them think about doing it again. So it's these 6 clubs, and I think the protests that the fans did were absolutely brilliant, by the way. But it shows that what the owner's intentions for those clubs is to make them as profitable as possible. And it's like, yes, football is a business, but it's a different type of business where you've got like generations invested within the club. It's like steeped within history and the community of the areas that they're from. For those 6 clubs to just go and basically put the middle finger up to all of that, in terms of way it meant to try and turn them into a franchise, it's absolutely disgraceful. But the thing is, they've got no punishment for it, or no real punishment. So don't be surprised when they have another go in a couple of years.
Yeah, I totally agree because it's all about money. The top 6 is controlling the Premier League. That's all it is. And it would get petty when Newcastle United got taken over and Daniel Levy's one of them. You got John Henry, Fenway Sports Group, got petty as well. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's an absolute joke, this league. It really, really is. I hope we stay up. We're going to cause havoc. We are going to cause havoc in the summer. We're going to compete. And we just want a bit of hope at the football club. And all these clubs are saying, oh, Newcastle's a wonderful city. We don't want to get them relegated. You've got a fantastic club, etc., you know. But the only reason they're saying this, is because they just want to take 3 points. We give them 3 points. That's all it is. Now, we've been taken over. And all these pundits, which I'm going to come on to, like people like Gabby Bongrahor, come out and said that if we give them £40 million or they offer you 30 million from Brentford, they go to Brentford.
I'm not a fan of London. Like, I'm probably the worst person to ask. I don't like London at all, really. Like, I don't know. I'd rather, it's just too busy. I never find it relaxing when you go there, kind of thing. Constant just stress. I'm not just saying this because I'm on a Newcastle channel. You can ask my mates as well. I've always said I'd rather live up north than down south.
Yeah, same here, because I always lived up in Newcastle for a long time, you know. Had to come back because my mum, and my mum was poor at the time, but now it's great. She's a little bit better and knows to just do a little bit here and there sort of thing. You know, I love my mum, and listen, at the end of the day, you never know what's going to happen. I may come back, you never know. But touch wood, who knows? But yeah, we can talk about Sunday's game. Game between Leicester and Newcastle at King Power, and you said off there you don't seem confident.
No, I really don't. I really don't. Which I think you guys are going to be heading into this with a lot of confidence. Now you got that win last week. I think your players seem to be really buying into what Eddie Howe's doing. Sorry, and then our confidence just looks absolutely shot. Losing yesterday to a second string Napoli team. I think if you get us early, it could be a long afternoon for Leicester.
Yeah, that's the case. And we've got the latest team news that Yuri Tielemans and Ryan Bertrand of Cup feature on Sunday. Returned from injury from Thursday's defeat. So, and you also got many of your players out as well. So you did miss 7 players in the Napoli game. And like I said, you got Yuri and Ryan back in the team on Sunday.
Yeah, I hope Bertrand's nowhere near the first team. He was a good player a few years ago at Southampton, but he is well past it now. He's living, one of those players that lives off their name for a few years beyond their ability. Like, the ability is gone with Bertrand now. Like, you can see that he knows what he's trying to do, but he's just not fit enough to get up and down that line, which he needs to be to be a modern fullback. So I just don't think he's good enough to be like at Southampton anymore, which is why they were so keen to get rid of him. But Tielemans, what a player! What a player! But he's just against Napoli, to be expected. He didn't look fit. First game back in, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. So I'd rather see him come off the bench and then give a young lad like Dewsbury Hall a chance, or Samare as well. Because my thing is, if Tielemans is fit, he starts week in, week out. But like, I don't want to risk him getting an injury for the rest of the season for a game against Newcastle, where even if he's not fully fit, he's not going to have an impact on.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if Tielemans does play, we got problems, but you're right. But he'd be better off playing subs as well. And get a young lad who just mentioned sort of thing, Wesley Hill, whatever his name is. I mean, never watched him play. How good is he? Is he a good young player? Or?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Dewsbury Hall. But
Dewsbury Hall, that's it.
Dewsbury Hall, yeah, he scored an absolute brilliant goal in our defeat last night. He's a centre midfielder, but he went out on loan to Luton last year, did really well in the Championship, and he's one of those players that the club have got really high hopes from when you look at everything that's being written about him. And I can see why. He's just one of those players, like, technically he looks very, very good already. He's 22, I believe, but he covers so much ground. So yeah, he's one that I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I mean, touch wood sort of thing, like, let's wish you all the best in the future sort of thing, and he could surprise. And I've got Judy again, agreed. Leicester's a nice city to visit too. Great market, lots of cool sites, and that's weird Wetherspoons with a storm bridge on dry land.
I know exactly which Wetherspoons she's on about.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Leicester once and didn't see much of it, to be fair, but it seems a cool city. It looks a fantastic city, so we're just going to get better and better. Sort of, it's such a cosmopolitan city, Leicester, and it gets better all the time. I've got Cleveland, Brentford 0, Watford 1, and it looks like Emmanuel Dennis got all the goals so far. So I was hoping for that game to be a draw and neat, because if Watford in that game, we'd be 6 points in safety.
I'm in a weird situation because I want Watford to stay up because of Ranieri, but I really don't like Watford.
Fair enough. I mean, we got to play Watford next month as well, and I just don't know that it's gonna be tough for us, like in a minute. But we got to win our home games now. We got to win as much games as possible now. Do you know what I mean? And if we can get decent players coming in before the Watford game at home, then we got a good chance of winning. But who's going to come through? I don't know. We've been linked with a few players like Jesse Lingard's been linked with, and we've also been linked with Tarkowski as well. And
you've been linked to a lot of the same players that we have, because we've been linked to Lingard as well, Tarkowski. Forget the lad's name from Watford as well, the winger.
Sarr.
Yeah, we've been linked to Sarr as well. So I feel like you're just getting linked to every player we're getting linked to now. You've got.
This is it. I mean, my motto is I just got to sit back and just say, look, I'm not going to get too full in transfer chats as well, sort of in transfer rumors as well. I can remember years ago when your name's being linked, they turn to and say it's true. But now they don't say no. It's just deny this and deny that sort of thing, Like I said, until they come through the door with raising a scarf around the heat at the stadium, then I've got to be leaving out, because at the end of the day, it's just rumours. And
yeah, there's like 90% of what you read online will be absolute rubbish. And there's a couple of people, I don't know if you've got this with Newcastle, there's like when 2 or 3 journalists speak, I listen and I take that quite seriously. I think for us, it's John Percy, Rob Tanner, and Jeff Peters. Unless it's come from those 3, I take it all with a huge pinch of salt.
Well said. Totally agree. The next one's going to be very, very huge on the transfer front as well. And you are just going to sit back and just let them talk rubbish as much as they want. Yeah, I just got, before I go on to the predictions as well, on the channel analytics, I had 8,000 people, 8,000 watch me sites, YouTube, which is absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe that sort of thing. 8,000 hours of watch time, and which is absolutely amazing. So I've got 1,421 subscribers as well.
Oh, well done, mate. That's brilliant. That's definitely heading in good direction, and well played to you, mate.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much. And give us your score prediction on Sunday between us.
Do this bit.
That's what we're here for, man.
I want to say 2-1 Leicester, but I really don't believe it. I really do see you guys beating us 2-1. Without sounding disrespectful to you lot, because I think under Eddie Howe you do have looked a lot better for a team that's supposedly meant to be breaking that top 6. The fact that I feel like you guys are favourites heading into this, it's worrying.
Yeah, it's very well. The thing is, though, I feel confident going to games now. We've got to win that game, because we've got Liverpool on Thursday away from home. Then we've got to play 2 Manchester clubs. City first, United second, and then we've got to play Everton away, then we've got to play Southampton away, and then I think you've got to play Watford at home. So we've got some tough games going up still, but we do look a lot fitter. The players to want to play for Eddie Howe, the players want to play football, enjoying the football, right? The 3 players has been key for us this season. John Shelby, right? Jamal Lewis, when he came, he had a good game. And the one, I have to mention his name, he used to be the laughing stock for Newcastle, and it's Joe Linton.
Yeah, he gets about the pitch well, doesn't he? He holds the ball up, and I know he don't get those goals and that, but he gets himself involved and brings other people into the game. I do think you overpaid for him, and as you say, under Steve Bruce, he was a laughing stock. But I almost felt bad for him in that first season. Steve Bruce is never going to improve a young player like that, but I'm hoping that he does turn good. Well, he's already seems to have turned a corner. But it's now about adding those goals to his game.
Absolutely. And there's been rumours he could be playing in midfield as well, which I like to see him play in midfield. Someone to break from midfield. He's 6'3", and the guy is just getting better and better under Eddie Howe. That means if he performs under Eddie Howe, why didn't Stevie's got the best out of him? Because he's just not good enough as a manager.
Thing is, I know Steve Bruce kept you in the league, which is why Mike Ashley kept him, and not going to dwell on that period for too much. But I can't really think of any players that Steve Bruce has ever really improved. And that's what I mean when I say about it's important for you guys now to get the right people in place in terms of you've got the coaches in terms of Eddie Howe and his team. It's like that is the important thing because you can bring in whatever players you want, and we've seen that with United. But if you don't have, with Man United, you've seen they've brought in world-class players. But if you don't have a coaching setup and the right people there to help them improve, it's all a waste of time.
Yeah, I totally agree. But they just look about extra 20-30% match fitter. And they look absolutely fantastic. They don't look knackered after 60 minutes. They just keep going and going and going. And that's how I want to see my team goes. Play for the whistle, play to the shirt, and play for the 90 minutes and win, lose, or draw. And I don't mind getting beat as long as you give effort every single week. And I got Judy as well. The only thing Steve Bruce can improve is the guest list. Is on a firing squad. That's from Judy. She's lovely. She's funny, but she's amazing. So, yeah, I'll give my prediction as well. I'm going to say 2-1 to Newcastle as well. I've got to say, I've got to be positive this time. Every time I say 2-1, they end up drawing. If I say it's going to be a draw, Newcastle ends up winning. So, yeah, what else can I say? So, I'm going to say 2-1 to Newcastle. I think you've got a good chance with the situation new team's at in a minute. And can you see Brendan Rodgers staying at Leicester at the end of the season?
I don't think he'll be here at the end of the season. I really don't. And that whether that's from another club coming in for him or whether he does get sacked, because people laugh at the fact of like, oh, Leicester won't sack him. And it's like we've probably got one of the most ruthless boards in terms of the Premier League. Like Ranieri got sacked, I think 8 months after he won the league. So he's going towards that direction at the moment. He really is. But nothing would make me happier than to see him turn it around. I really want him to, but I don't see it. I really don't.
Fair enough. We'll have to see what happens at the end of the season. So if we see if Brendan's to be there. My personal view, if I was a Leicester fan, I'd say, yeah, give him, he's got credits in the bank, but he's got to improve next season. And he's got one last chance by me. If I was a Leicester fan for next season, and he needs to fix up sort of thing, because your club needs to be in the top 6. And you nearly made the top 4 a couple of times, and it seems like you've got on it.
Yeah, I think that's what I was saying before. Everyone seems to think it's just the start of this season. It was our form went off a cliff from the 18th of February last year. That's when like the downward spiral started happening, and I think Brendan Rodgers. I think the 5th last year papered over. 5th and an FA Cup papered over a lot of cracks from how poor we were from February onwards. Because it was a weird situation. Because like the first half of the season up to January, we were like one team, and then from February onwards, we were like a completely different side. Apart from the FA Cup, and I say apart from the FA Cup, the FA Cup was absolutely brilliant. But like, I do think. I'm not saying this just because Leicester have won it. I've said this quite a few times. I do think a cup win can paper over cracks for there. Like you look at a few years ago when Wigan won the cup and got relegated in the same season. Like as brilliant as the cup win was, I do think that there are cracks that are starting to get bigger and bigger that were there at that point.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there, sort of thing. But I hope things will get good, and I hope it gets better for your team soon as well, and our team as well. So, and before I let you go, I mean, I'll say Leicester going to be top 10. Where do you think Newcastle United is going to end in the end of the season?
I do worry that you are going to go down, but I think you're either going to. I'm going to say 17th, and you're going to stay up by the skin of your teeth. But I do think it's going to be like really close. I think you need to buy well in January. That's a big thing. You need to get in the right people in January. So,
yeah.
And the thing is, you've got a lot of football to play before January, and you need to keep within striking distance, then.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, again, and I think we're just going to do it. Because of the money we've got in the transfer window, the richest club in the world. It depends who wants to come to us. But one thing I'm going to see it, if they turn us down, we stay up. I'll give you an example. Like, say, I'll give you, say, Icardi, for example, Mauro Icardi, right? The player at PSG. If he turns down Newcastle, right? And then we stay up. Then in the summer, he comes calling for us, say, I want to join Newcastle. Now you stayed up. I tell you where to go because he had that opportunity, or any player for that opportunity. because slap in the face.
Yeah, that's it. You want players that want to come and play for the club and that. And I think the one thing you guys really like, I know you've got the money now, but you need to avoid bringing in players who are just on huge money who only want to come to Newcastle because they're on big money. I think you've got to get that. It's what Man City have done so well is you've got to find that profile of player who wants to come and play for your club. Like what they've done with Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, who they've picked up those talents from Europe and then taking them on at Man City, who then become those world-class talents.
They are. That Bernardo Silva, absolutely
what a player.
Awesome player. He comes from, I mean, he's not been getting much first team, but I tell you what, if he becomes available, man, I tell you what, name your price for this guy. I take him all day. This guy is absolutely world-class. And I'd watch him. I paid a mission fee alone for this kid. And got Jude as well. Agreed completely. And look at Arteta's FA Cup win. That prolonging the slow death of Arsenal's top 5 hopes. And I think Arteta's going to be under pressure as well this season. If he doesn't get top 4 this season, I think he'd be gone as well.
I don't know. Arsenal's a weird club. It seems like the only club in the world where you could spend 150 million in the summer and the fans still seeming to be happy about like competing for top 6. There seems like no expectations there and like no standards, which I don't get because Arsenal was a huge club. But I also, like, in a weird way, like I almost see Arsenal as like it's 2 different clubs. Like Arsenal from Highbury days, where they were like that top draw club, and now the current Arsenal team, but it's just they're like happy to be there or thereabouts, competing for top 4. But yeah, they'll win the odd cup here and there, but they're never going to be that powerhouse that they were before, and they don't have the intent to go out and do that either. So I think they're happy with Arteta because it keeps the pressure off the board.
Yeah. Well, it is. I mean, they don't know who they're going to get in next, but because they got Antonio Conte across the road, and the bottom line is, Arsenal fans are quite worried because Antonio Conte's going to do things when they get going, and they probably think Arteta may have come short and trying to win, getting the top 4. But you're right. I mean, me personally, he's gotten to the end of the season. He probably have one chance left to make it. If he doesn't, I think he'd be on his way, which is a shame because he's a young manager. Right? And you can never tell with the Arsenal boys. You're right. You called it right. They're a strange club. And he's splitting the fans for me. You look at AFTV, people say they're happy with him. Some people are not happy with him, you know, but he's got to get top 4.
They're the 3rd biggest club in England that have finished 8th twice in a row. I don't like that. And the thing is, they've spent big money as well in those 2 years, which if that was at Man United, if that was at Liverpool, they'll be outraging the fan base. But Arsenal just seem like there's some fans, as you say, who aren't happy with it. But overall, they seem to be happy with it, which for the standards that they've set at Arsenal just seems weird.
Yeah, I agree. It's very weird what's going on at the Arsenal, but let's hope they pick up very, very soon for Teta's sake, in my opinion. So, yeah. Listen, I'm going to wrap it up there, my guy, because I know you're a busy guy and, get yourself prepared. And what are your plans for the weekend?
So I am unfortunately working tomorrow, which it's just not great, but it is what it is. And then Sunday I'll be heading to the game.
Champion stuff. Are you a season ticket? I take it, yeah? Season ticket holder. Yeah. Well, all I can say is got 2 more comments before I sign off. And say keep the faith. And if the game goes to heat, may the best team win. And Judy says, Amen, Keith. She's absolutely right. I mean, Judy's always right, and she's absolutely amazing, and she's always on my channel, sort of thing. So, listen, I'm going to wrap it up there, sort of thing, and make the best team win. But before I let you go, I mean, did you enjoy coming on my show again?
No, it's absolutely brilliant. Your chat's been brilliant as well. Thank you for everyone who's been so welcoming. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, we can talk again when we play you at St James's Park. I think it's towards the back end of the season when we play you again.
Absolutely. And as soon as they do, I'll definitely get you on. I've got to go on the Leicester Till I Die channel on Monday night, and they are brilliant. Chris, absolutely.
What a guy.
What a guy. This guy is amazing. He's got proper content. He talks a lot of sense. I think he thinks I'm funny when I said that Man United was going to beat Liverpool. and I got absolutely ripped. But he's a great guy, and I'm quite happy to go on his channel on Monday at 7 o'clock. So please check us out on Leicester Till I Die. I'll be the guest on there as well, and everyone watching, go on his channel as well. It's amazing. And I've got Judy, great show. Thanks, John, and thank you very much indeed, Judy. Cheers, lads from Keith. Thanks so much indeed. Listen, you have a good weekend. May the best team win, and let's hope that we get the 3 points. And after that, I just hope that Brendan saves your bacon there. Got one more there. Thanks to the show, lads. Appreciate it, Jay. Thank you, and have a fantastic day, mate. Take care.
You too. Thanks.
You too. Ta.